God is always, as I understand God, sending us higher ideas. Are we listening is always the question. Are we co-creating with God, or are we resisting the ideas? Through fear of the past, through speculation of the future. In our dreams, we always have hope for change, for expansion. The challenge is to let go of the reality of the day, to unchain us from the bonds of yesterday, and to just step on that next rung in the ladder in our mind. And so now, this is why, when we get back to the story, Bansier tells Kabi how disappointing his reality is compared to his dreams. And like I stated, it's very important to know Babylon was a rich city. Yet, only a few limited men acquired the wealth in the city. The majority of the people barely got by, and the city experiences an economic downturn. It's in the book, I swear to you. I'm not making this up. And because of this economic downturn, the good king Sargon, he asked for Arkad, because Arkad was the richest man in Babylon. And he calls him and he says, I need your help. You're a wealthy man. Can you teach other people how to accumulate and maintain wealth like you have? And so Arkad tells the king, okay, gather 100 men, and I will teach them the 7 cures to fatten their purse. And the book is about, the purse. And you must understand, there was no Bank of Babylon. There were no ATM cards. There were no paper money. And so if you had money, you carried it around in a little, bag that you tied to your belt. And wherever you went, your gold went, unless you were rich enough to pay people to guard your gold. And so that night, the class of 100 is assembled. Arkad states the first cure is to enlarge your purse is to start thy purse to fattening. Start thy purse to fattening. He asked some of the men, what are your works? What is your industry? What are your job? What is your trade? Remember, most people were tradesmen back then. And so an egg merchant, raises his hand. And so Arkad asks the egg merchant, what will happen if he chooses to set aside one basket? The hens lay their eggs overnight, and they collect them in the morning in the baskets. What would happen if the egg merchant set aside one basket, and for every 10 eggs that were laid in it, he only took out 9? So he asked this hypothetical question, what's going to happen? And the egg merchant answers, oh no, it will overflow as time passes. I cannot do that. And Arkad stated, this is the remedy, the first remedy for a lean purse. Now we understand this on 2 levels. It's actually a story about finances, but the real lean or fat purse, if you will, is our consciousness. We in this church understand that everything on the outer is a reflection of something going on inside ourselves. And so Arkad states the first remedy to a lean purse is for every 10 coins that you place inside the purse, take out only 9 to use them. Then, after a long period of time, the purse will begin to fatten. And as the purse begins to fatten, its increasing weight will feel good in your hands. Let's take that out of money and really consciousness. For every thought that we receive, allow our consciousness of the dream, of the positive, of the good, of the sacred to expand. And then after time, we expand in our ability to believe in ourselves. He says that this is very simple but extremely effective. Upon practicing this over a long period of time, one must accumulate means. And on the intellectual, on the spiritual, I will tell you, upon practicing this in our mind over a long period of time, to keep accepting the ideas and the highest ideas in the mind of God, we will accumulate higher consciousness. This is the rung by rung by rung by rung journey in mind that we're all ready, willing, and able to take beginning today. And so the class is dismissed. Well, the next day, if I showed up for that class, and immediately when I read this, I knew my question. Well, they asked it in the book, you know. They read my mind. I said, Arcot was asked by the people, hey, brother, how can we save 1/10 of our earnings when we don't have enough to pay our expenses today? We're not making it now. How can we fatten our purse if we don't have enough now? And Arcot answers something very intelligent. He says, do not confuse the necessary expenses with your desires. Because every man in the room of the 100 will always have many more desires than which the earnings can gratify. And so the real plan is discernment. You know, discernment. To focus upon what is necessary and allow holding on to some be a necessary condition in the life. He states for them the second cure is budget thy expenses that you may, listen to, 1, have money to pay your expenses. 2, pay for your enjoyments. 3, gratify your worthwhile desires, all without spending more than 9/10 of your earnings. Too often, you know, we're in a consciousness where we don't have enough. And I love Reverend Michael Beckwith because he says we're walking around with a mindset of not enoughness. Not enoughness. I never heard that word, but I like that word because, you know, not enoughness. You know, you see it on people's face sometimes. And when that is in our face, imagine what's in our mind. Imagine what we're vibrating. Imagine the energy we're sending out. You know, I hear someone thinking right now, I don't have enough to save 1 coin for every 10 that I put in my bank account. But let's move beyond money. This is not a financial planning series. I'm going to leave that to Ed Blakemore and Marie. They're thinking about scheduling another one in the coming months.